Purple Bullet Talk here, and today we're going to be discussing how Joe Biden's path to the presidency is currently narrowing. So, over the last couple of days, I've noticed like a trend of Joe Biden has been losing grasp of states he had bigger grasp on. For example, in the state of Arizona, he was leading by 5-6 points. Now he's losing. That's what the polls show. And I think ultimately Joe Biden, he is losing a lot of support. And I'm going to tell you why I think that's happening. So why I think it's happening is because of the he's very non-charismatic. He's not a charismatic person. He does have some charisma. He's very nice to the people and people like him. But the way he campaigns, I don't think it's going to be super like easy for him to win the election. So I'm going to be going today over our states that are going to be closer and things like that. Have gotten closer or have gotten further away from either column. And I think also that um, Joe Biden's gonna have this so let's fill this in. Joe Biden will have this very bad charisma problem, and then that's probably gonna cost him a lot. Cause then I also see Joe Biden when he gets into the presidency, I don't see him doing much. Of course, he will do some stuff as the commander in chief, but I think his administration will most likely be ran by his vice president and his cabinet. Well, if that's always like how the administration is run, but I think if Joe Biden is elected president, it's gonna be a little bit more cabinet and vice president based than actually him making some of the top choices. So yeah. So I think I filled in all my safe states. So let's go to our states. Oh, and I forgot this second district of um New Mountain. No, it's not. It's the third district. My bad. The third district in Nebraska. There you go. So I'm going to see the states that are definitely going to be for the Democrats, like always. The states that Hillary Clinton won, except maybe the state of Minnesota, which I think I'll get to that later. And the state of New Hampshire as well. All those states are going to go for Joe Biden, whether you like it or not. And I forgot the state of Hawaii down there. Whoopsies. So those states are going to be mostly all the states that Hillary Clinton won in 2016 are going to go to Joe Biden. Now, but when it comes to gaining from where Hillary Clinton was, it's going to be a little harder. We're going to see states close up. States like Georgia. Oops, hold on. States like Georgia that were once closer, like state of Georgia, state of Texas at this point is likely, state of Iowa, the state of not Pennsylvania. Why did I fill that in? The state of states like Ohio. Those are becoming those are becoming more and more in favor of the Republican Party. So we can see that like they're going to have some tough time gaining ground. The Democrats are going to have tough time gaining grounds in those states, and we're ultimately going to see a very close election, I think, at this point. And Joe Biden has been continuing to lose a lot of the grasp. Another big reason I think he's losing the grasp is that he's not in touch with a lot of the minorities as much as the Democratic candidates would be. I think he gives up for a lot of people. He gives out the vibe of a person like a regular politician, a white old man. So that doesn't get minorities out. He has some better appeal than Donald Trump to say something, but again, it's important that you get them out full force if the Democrats want to have a chance at the presidency. The state of Minnesota, of course, the states that are getting closer, and I think the path is narrowing a lot for Joe Biden. Minnesota, I thought it would have been a likely state by 5 points, but now it's getting closer. I think it's gonna go by 3 or 4 points. The state of Florida, it's a lean state at this point. Democrats could probably say goodbye to this very soon if they don't start campaigning very well for that state. They're losing a lot of their strongholds counties, not by losing them by who wins there, but actually the margins. In the state of Florida, what matters in all actuality is margins. If you don't win by margins, if you don't have good margins in your strongholds, you lose the election in the state of Florida. Because since you have to overperform, since there is no swing counties, that doesn't really matter. Like the swing counties, you can win the one swing county, but you're gonna win it by 1%. Doesn't matter. But the strongholds, if you're losing them by 5, 6, 7%, which is what's been trending in Florida. Although you might be saying that the Florida doesn't like Donald Trump, but in reality they actually do. Especially down in the southern Florida counties, there's been increasingly more support for Donald Trump, which ultimately will hurt the Democrats in the state of Florida. for that same reasoning, I think the state of North Carolina, I think they're losing a lot of ground, the Democrats. Unless the Democrats start going and campaigning like crazy people in that state is gone for the Democratic Party. I thought those two states, they would have been a lot closer. But ultimately, right now is not the time for them. Some tilt states, the rest of the states I think are going to be super duper close. And states like the 2nd Congressional District in Maine, I think, will narrowly go to Joe Biden. Why? Well, the reason I think this will go narrowly to Joe Biden is because of his appeal. He's conservative, and I think they like those type of people in Maine. It's not the super liberal Democrats up in Maine. When it comes to some of the other states, the state of Nebraska's 2nd Congressional District, I think we're gonna see the same thing. It's gonna be that same margin, but for the Democrats. Now, looking at our states that are left, you're gonna have the Rust Belt. And we're going to have the state of Arizona. Ultimately speaking, I think this is but looking at the margins, first of all. States like North Carolina and Florida used to be tilt states in my older predictions. But now I'm looking at it and I'm saying, well, Donald Trump's gaining ground in a lot of these places. Okay, the Democrats have a better standpoint due to the pandemic and things like that. But, again, the Democrats are running a candidate with very little charisma. And that is a very important thing in politics. If you have a very good candidate, that he has good policies and everything, or whatever you may believe, but the charisma, which is what like people think of, charisma is very important when dealing with foreign relations, when dealing with domestic issues. All these things are important. So states like ultimately there's going to be some tilt Democratic states. I think the state of Michigan and the state of Pennsylvania are going to be slightly Democratic, and ultimately these two states will be toss-ups. I think both of these states, so for my final prediction, I'll just put them there, but hypothetically speaking, I think these states are leaning more to Donald Trump. Wisconsin, you might be saying, well, no, that's impossible, but yes, it is possible. I think Wisconsin, the Democrats are losing more and more, so at this point, these two states are kind of being safe bets for Donald Trump. So we have an electoral map at 269, 269, and I think this is where we stand right now. Well, it shows 248, but I'm going to fill it in. Those are what I think are going to be the true toss-up seats, but I think they're both leaning towards Donald Trump. So our final map is 269 to 269, and I think the House is going to go to the House of Representatives and to the Senate. This may become an issue for the Democrats because they couldn't come close in too many of the states. They still have the state of Wisconsin and the state of Arizona. Those states should have been a lot closer and in their favor. So, if this happens, the Senate will likely vote for the Democrats. I think it might be plausible. I'll do a video about that soon, about going on over what would be kind of the scenario in the Senate and the House. And yeah, so again, I want to thank all of you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, if we reach 250 subscribers, I will be doing a giveaway. Like, subscribe, share the channel, and thanks for watching.